and welcome to another episode of the All-Star Advocacy Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Castro, and we keep on lining up star after star after star. This week, we are super excited to bring on another San Diego local. He is currently a senior at Morse High School. This fall, he's actually headed to University of Oregon to play running back for the Ducks, a very storied football program. And he is our first, high school age athlete advocate to come on the podcast. So it's my pleasure to welcome on this week, Mr. Byron Cardwell. Thanks for coming on, bro.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And, for our listeners and viewers at home or wherever they're at, really, we're continuing on this month of May, specifically getting involved with our youth here in San Diego, right? Our youth athlete advocates. And last week we had on Sydney Barnes, who's a Chula Vista native. Now she's about set to graduate any day now up in Long Beach. But just homegrown, youth age athletes. And now we're digging even deeper, and we're going right to the late high school, early college age. But really keeping with the same theme of what we're all about. And that is, everyone's got a platform, even more so, this next generation, yourself, us, all of us really have our own platform. So just wanted to keep that theme, and we're going even deeper into our followings and into our impact in the community. So happy to have you on, bro. And let's just get we'll get into. I see you rocking the Oregon gear. Definitely want to talk about that, but want to start for our listeners. I've spoken to you multiple times. I know the person you are, but we want to let listeners know, what impacted, your character from the jump. So we'll start all the way back to your early childhood. If you're cool talking about it, tell us what your upbringing was like, and the whole family dynamic growing up.
My upbringing has always been everything's always been tight with my family. Grandma and grandpa on both sides, mom and dad, they always just kind of instilled religion, being a God-fearing person, Christian. So that's just kind of been the forefront for all my success to this point. And then also just having a very diverse family, a lot of different personalities, people. They go do different jobs, live in different parts, so you kind of get a little bit of everything. Also, with that, then that comes in like trying new things. Food is a big thing in our family. Everybody in my family is very competitive, and we take a lot of games, whether it be board games to video games, or even like going to play outside in the backyard or something. We're competitive with everything. So getting into that, and then all of my older siblings have all graduated from college and all have degrees and are all doing successful. So education has been a big thing too. So it's for my younger sisters and my younger brother, we've all kind of just wanted to do better than our older siblings and kind of just use that as an outline and then put our own little twist on it. So I would say those are some of the things that have been an inspiration for myself personally to get me where I am at this point.
Sure, yeah, and it's already sounded like you've had this really close relationship, right, with your parents and elders, and that's translated into all your siblings, where it's kept everything competitive, and you're always striving to be your best self, all the way down to sports. And just how you carry yourself, right? Let's kind of get into that about kind of the competition with your siblings, because every time I pick up, my phone, I'm seeing what's going on Twitter. There's a softball player in your family that's kind of tearing it up right now. So is that just always sibling competition, just growing up playing, sports with your sister, and, how's that been?
I mean, my sister and I we're a year and some change apart, so we're real close. I don't really see her as I mean, I see her as a little sister, but I mean, since we're kind of so close, I kind of see her like as a twin. Um, but I mean, we've grown up playing sports together. She's played softball for her most of her life, and then she got into a little bit of volleyball and basketball. And myself, I played like a little bit of soccer, and then I played mostly football and basketball, and then I played about a couple years of baseball. We played on the same baseball team in middle school,
Wow.
so that during that season, we were just like trying to see who could hit the most home runs.
Who won that? Who won that?
I did actually. She would get mad because she played softball too, and then she played baseball for a season because I think where she was playing softball, they didn't have a team, so we played on the same team together. So it was just me and her. It was always just like we had fun, and she would hit first, and I hit right after her. So it was always like if she hit, I got to get a hit, or if she didn't get a hit, I got to get hits because she didn't get a hit. So it's always been a competition. I mean, even in the classroom. I mean, my parents, she's always been a good student, and I've been a good student. So we've always gone back and forth, seeing who can get the higher grade and have a better report from our teachers, and that's just kind of how we've kind of grown up. And even still now at this point, I mean, there's stuff that I know that I can help her with. I'll talk to her about it, and if it's something I need help with school in a certain subject, then I'll ask her for help. So we kind of just go back and forth with a lot of things.
Wow. That's so huge, man. I mean, to be that close, obviously with a sibling where you're literally like, she's on second base and you're hitting her in, and the way you guys have, leveled each other up. That's awesome. And I think that's a testament to your upbringing, right? With your parents raising you guys up to be friends, right? To be each other's, biggest fan, and watch each other grow through that. So let's kind of go back to, you were growing up playing all these different sports, right? But then it, kind of came time where maybe high school age, early freshman, sophomore year, where you kind of had to make a choice to just focus on one sport, right?
Yeah.
Can you take us through that decision and what you were giving up, kind of what you were thinking, okay, this is kind of my best shot in terms of, a specific sport?
For me, coming into high school, well, actually, I mean, younger, I played football for most of my time, and then I stopped playing. I didn't want to play football anymore, so I played strictly basketball. So I was like, I'm gonna go the basketball route. And then my uncle, he played high school, and I remember going to his games. I was like, man, I want to play under the lights on Friday. So right when I got to high school, I was telling my mom and dad, I was like, I'm play football again. So ended up, getting into St. Augustine, and got there. I played freshman year. I played football, basketball, and track, and I did all those. And then I did that freshman, sophomore year, and then I stopped. I didn't run track my sophomore year, and then focused on football and basketball. And then after I got my first offer my sophomore year, I was like, I'm gonna focus on football more and track, because football and track kind of go hand in hand, keep your speed up in shape. So I was like, I'm not gonna play basketball. So I stopped playing basketball after my sophomore year. So then my junior year and on, I just did football and track.
Got it. Yeah, man. I mean, it's tough making those decisions and weighing all those options. I'm sure it wasn't easy, growing up and enjoying. It seems like you enjoyed all kinds of sports growing up, but again, when you're starting to get, recruited, starting to get these letters and people making these offers, it's something to weigh. I guess during that time, right, when you were initially at St. Augustine and then, you transferred, at what point in that process did you think, man, not only can I play college ball, at the next level, but maybe get scholarships for my performance? When was that? Like, when did you realize, this is a way to take my education to the next level?
I mean, I've always thought that since I can remember the Nike opening or in Oregon when they would have it on TV. Since being like Pop Warner, I remember hearing about the local high school athletes getting offers. So, I mean, that's always something I knew I could have done. I just knew it would take time, of course. And then once I finally got my first offer, I then realized I was like, okay, this is something I can do. I know I can do. And then I just kind of, after getting that first offer, it was just a lot of inspiration and just showed that my talents and the way I am off and on the field, a school, a university, a college has seen that and felt that it was important or necessary that they offered and extended me a scholarship. So once I got that, I was like, okay, well, this is something I'm going to do. And I kind of just worked harder and harder with that. And then I started offers kind of piling up. And then love the rankings and talking to different coaches and having interviews with a lot of different people. So, and even with the news, it just kind of was like, okay, yeah, this is something I can do, and I'm gonna further and keep going as far as it takes me. And that's just kind of how I looked at it.
That's awesome, man. I mean, yeah, that's what's going to come, right? With that work that you put in, the notoriety and the eyeballs start to shift that way. And so let's go back. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about your work ethic, because, you can, go and see a highlight reel and, all the crazy bang, bang plays and, the breakaways. But really what has gotten you to this point has been your work ethic. So can you just speak about, that investment of a giant school, right, into the person that you are and the mindset you have already, especially going through, for lack of a better word, you missed out on a senior year, right? Like there was no real senior season. Can you just, talk about what you needed to do to get yourself in a position to, where you're at now, just the grind and the mindset and your work ethic?
I would say with that, it started even since I was little. My dad was my first football coach. So he always told me, even though you're my son and I'm your dad and you're coaching you, I'm not going to treat you like that. When we're on the field, it's coach, and when we're off the field, it's dad. So he kind of always had that instilled that. He knew where I was capable of, and so he would always push me harder than everybody else. And that's kind of where I've kind of looked at it and was like, it's just been instilled in me. My grandma and grandpa, they've always told me that when it comes to religion, that you can't just go to church and say you believe in God and you don't do the actions or put in the time to talk to him. Mm-hmm. That you have to actively grow your faith with God. And that's from a religious standpoint, that's how I've kind of grown with that. And then in school, my grandma, all parents, everybody that's been a mentor or a family member in my life, they've always said that without school, then you can't play football. Without school, you can't do a lot of things. So that's just where all of that kind of tied in. And then as I got older, just wanting to live the lifestyle that I want to, I know that I need to have a strong faith with God, because He'll provide for if I'm ever down, He'll provide for me. And then when I have my school together, I have something to fall back on. And football is just something I really enjoy to do, and I can do it really well. And I'm about to go to college to do that. So that's just how I look at that. And my dad always told me, always work as if somebody's watching you. And so that's just kind of how I work. And just being the competitor I am and just always wanting to outdo everybody, I can never let myself settle for less, whether it be doing an extra 5 pounds on my bench or doing an extra sprint. I've always worked like, my mentality myself is always work like you're in second place, but you're in first place. So that's just kind of how I looked at it. I know what I'm capable of. I know where I'm going, and I have my faith in God, and I know He's going to take me to the right place. And I always stay humble, because I feel like once you start to boast and act arrogant, then it comes right back to you. So I always want to put out just a humble person, positive person, and those things will come back to me. So that's just kind of how all my work ethic and everything tied in to get me to where I am right now.
That's huge. I think in like what your dad did at a very early age, right? No special treatment in the Cardwell house, right?
Mm-hmm.
That ingraining that in your mindset of, you're gonna have to produce just like everybody else is, and where that's taking you up till now, right? It's that I believe you've quoted it already in previous interviews, but that Floyd Mayweather mentality of
Mm-hmm.
I could have all these accolades, but up here, I'm kind of tricking myself into, I'm still at a disadvantage. Don't worry about, the actual accolades. I'm always going to stay humble. I'm always going to keep pushing. I'm always going to, maximize, my capacity. And so I guess for that reason, I know you've touched on your faith and wanting to walk the walk and stay humble, stay grounded. What else kind of keeps you on that path? Is it kind of music that maybe, keeps you, kind of engaged in that sense? Or what do you do to find that clarity when it's not, either family or any other thing? Do you lean on anything else to keep you zoned in?
No, I only lean on God for that. Or my family. I just kind of looked at that as all I need, because I feel like at the end of the day, that's all you're gonna have. So music is temporary, I listen to it just kind of when I'm working out or something like that. But just when I need some inspiration, I kind of sit back and look at, okay, well, what am I not doing that I usually do? And then I kind of just do a self-evaluation, talk to my mom or my dad, and then just pray about it. And then I keep moving, keep going forward.
That's huge. And you're right. Like, some certain athletes lean on certain things, but the fact that you have, again, this close knit family where you can go to them for really anything, for inspiration, for guidance, that's huge. And that's what's going to be forever, right? Is family. Mm-hmm. And so again, maybe, kind of circling back to, the kind of crazy year that this was, and you kind of still kind of being in, your senior year coming up. What was one thing that you learned just overall, kind of broadly, from 2020? If you can describe it, did you feel that, you learned something you took away from this last year into today?
I would say the biggest thing was just thankful for what you have in the moment, because before all of this COVID, everybody would just get up, eat, do your job for that day, go to school, come home, eat dinner. If you have sports, you do that. Homework or chores, go to sleep, do it again. So it was like a continuous cycle. So you never really I kind of sat back and just was like, man, like you have a roof, you know what I'm saying, warm water, food, all that stuff. So like now that we were indoors for a bit with quarantine, just kind of building a stronger foundation with the family, just being able to talk to everybody. And then with kind of just the world and everything, all the Black Lives Matter movements and the issues all across the world, just kind of having more light, more attention at this time. I just feel like that's just kind of what I've looked at. My biggest thing I would say would just to be appreciative and make the best of every situation. And I would just and also patience too. So that would kind of be those big three things that I would kind of learned over this whole span of 2020 to 2021 of COVID.
That is, I wish I had that mindset as a senior in high school, going to college, that gratitude, right? You're talking about, being thankful for everything and just being more aware of your privileges, really, what we have, we take for granted. And then, lastly, patience. That's one I'm always working on.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And no one's a finished product, right? But
yeah,
to take away, those things with your teammates, classmates, everyone that's gone through it is still going through it, right? Having gone through, again, this summer that was, a lot of protest and just the November election and still getting out of this pandemic, right? Learning all those things, being aware of those things. Do you feel like you got maybe closer with either your family or, some friends, teammates even?
I would say for sure I got closer with my family. I would say for sure with my family, then also just kind of now that I'm at home, I have more free time. So being able to kind of just read my Bible more, build my relationship with God, and then also just when you do have time to get out of the house, like take advantage of it and like be appreciative that you can go outside again. I mean, you could have went out, you could go outside, but just being able to, simple as going to the grocery store or going to the mall or going to, you know what I'm saying? Like, or even the beach, and
it got hairy there for a sec, man. Like there were points where like you couldn't go to a park, like
yeah.
down, and it's like, wow, how are we going to adjust to this? But again, going back to appreciating, everything reopening again and having that, that life back in a sense, but also acknowledging like anything can be taken away, right?
Exactly. Yes. So that's just kind of how I looked at it. And then just with like my grandpa passing and everything, just being more like appreciating the people while they're here, and then just even though like those times where it's just like, man, like I don't have the energy for this, just always think of it or always active that maybe this is the last time that you'll be able to do this, or maybe it's the last time you'll go to school or to see this person. So just cherishing every moment with everybody you have or everything that you do, because you don't know when it's going to end. So that's just kind of how I looked at it.
Wow. That's a good mindset, man. That's very, very mature already. So let's get into, okay. So that's, that's kind of takes us up till, what I'm seeing on your shirt. Let's talk about OU, right? Oregon, baby. Obviously the football program speaks for itself, right? It's a D1 school. They're always a contender, right? State-of-the-art facilities, coaches. And so we know, the program and your credentials to vie for that running back spot. But, we wanted to take this conversation more geared towards, the person and, again, going back to your education component, right? You can't have that lifestyle without, the education and what you're going there for. So I believe you're majoring in engineering.
Yes, mechanical engineering to be exact, but yes, engineering.
Okay. Can you just let us know kind of what your thought process was in kind of going for that degree and kind of what ties you to that?
I would just say my family, everybody's just really good with their hands, my grandpa, my mom's dad, he was a really good mechanic. My uncle does engineering, or he is an engineer, computer engineer. My cousin, her husband is a mechanical engineer, government contractor one. So he kind of flies all over. Then my grandpa did a lot of stuff with that, and my grandma. My grandma was more of an accountant for the engineering stuff, like money-wise, keeping all that together. But my grandpa was kind of more active in that. And then just with myself, just if I don't play football, and if I ever get to, what I'm saying, when I do play and I retire, I have something to fall back on, because the way I want to live, I know I need to find a job or a career that if it's not done to do with football, that's going to take care of me and generations to come. So um, just looking at that, and also being the high demand of engineering in general, just needed for the world. So I just felt it was the best thing for myself to do. It was going to pay me the best and provide for my family as I get older.
Yeah. Yeah. Just thinking ahead, just understanding that, you know, those genes do run in your family. So it's kind of a good bet. Right. But also, you know, athletes' careers, in lack of a better word, you know, sometimes they don't end up, you know, panning out. And that's not to say, you know, you're going to have your anomalies, your Tom Brady's that play until they're 50. But, you know, for most, the day is going to come. And so understanding that at your age, you know, that I need to have a backup plan and be resourceful and utilize everything this opportunity is going to give me. So I think that's awesome, man. It's a great path. And if you can, you know, let's talk about other kind of areas that, you know, kind of not wooed you, but got you interested in Oregon outside of that major, right? It's also maybe the nature or just a different scene, right? Just going somewhere outside of Cali. You know, you've known San Diego. Can you speak to any other thing that's kind of, you know, that it's also a really good opportunity that, you know, you want to grow and see a different area?
Yes, I would say the biggest part would be just going somewhere away from home to an environment where I can grow, and it also we're just having the nature and all the green from Oregon and the climate. I mean, I like rain, so it rains a lot there, I heard. So I mean, just enjoying that, and then kind of just experiencing something different and something new besides California or Southern California, and that's just kind of been the biggest part for me. Just the town of Eugene is very supportive of the university, and everybody is kind of just close knit. It's just real tight, and there's a lot of support, and that's just a place and an atmosphere I like to be around. Where people support you, you know, on and off the field, and it's not just because solely because you play football. It's off the field. Oh, I know him, you know, and you have a relationship with people that isn't to do with football. So that's kind of something that I liked and intrigued me in going to the University of Oregon.
Sure. And that speaks to, you know, the nature aspect. That's down your lane in terms of Pacific Northwest, you know, enjoying that climate, but then also just, you know, that community aspect. I can't stress enough, you know, having, you know, gone away, you know, getting into a different community during that time where you're growing and you're maturing, you know, getting that independence, but also understanding this community is tight knit and they don't just rock with me because I carry the ball. It's they really, you know, they take me in as a person. So that's huge, man. And I guess, you know, in that same kind of community vibe, I know I've heard also that outside of the engineering major, you may also have interest in, you know, going back to, you know, activism and advocacy, right? Is this social, you know, social issues and social services emphasis that may also be something you may look towards doing down the road as well?
Yes, yeah, social service, helping out with inner city schools and communities. My older sister, she she does public health, but it's more for women. But she also helps out in the inner city, and I also kind of help her with that too sometimes. And just kind of just going from living up. I used to live up in Temecula, Marietta area, so living up there and that lifestyle, and then coming down to San Diego, it's very very different. And then just going to a private school and then coming back to a public school and just experiencing that, you know, and understanding that a lot of these kids all they see is what they see. They don't really know nothing else outside of that. And kind of just exposing them to something besides just their environment, and not being a victim of their environment, trying to live above that and be a, what is it? How you pronounce it? A diamond in the rough, something like that. Just being something bigger than their environment, but still holding that to their heart, 'cause that's where they're from. So just once I get older and come back, I just wanted to kind of bring in that role of you are a young Black kid, and there are successful Black people in this world, and you can be that person one day. And it's not, you don't have to be a rapper or be an athlete. And it's just, you can do something that is, you can be a president, you can be a governor, you can be a firefighter. Like, you can do stuff that doesn't have to do with just your typical everyday what a Black person does type. So that's kind of what I wanted to come back and just show them and just inspire them with that.
Wow. That's, I mean, the lyric obviously that comes to my mind is J. Cole, right? Rapper, go to the league. That's not the only two options when we're talking about, being that diamond in the rough. It's now become, I think a lot more mainstream now that, look, that is, a way, but that's not the only way. And, just that mindset of wanting to give back and understanding that you are bigger than your surroundings that maybe you were born into, or your family's circumstances happen to be. That notion of giving back, man, is so important, and it's so needed right now, especially all over San Diego, all over inner cities throughout this country. And so having that experience and speaking from that experience, it's going to go a long way. I have no doubt that you're going to be able to affect change the way you want. And so kind of just going back to what you were just saying, in terms of you can be a governor, or you could hold public office. I recently heard on a separate interview that you did, you were quoted, and if I can read the quote, where it says, throughout history, and I think you're right on. Throughout history, I felt that, historically, Black people have been tied down, or in a way, have had a leash on them, and, that's a barrier we need to break. That's the importance of having the right people in important positions to change these things. And I think that just speaks to, everything that we're seeing out of this last year, really that's come to the forefront, is that, being engaged in these issues and these tough conversations, they really do have an impact, right? They do have consequences. And that's what we do, right? Is with this nonprofit, we're saying this is the conversation we need to be having, because, in reality, we all have a part to play in this. So yeah, if you want to shed light on kind of what you were thinking, if that's kind of where you were headed as well with that quote.
Yes, I would say that's a big part of it. Just kind of now with a lot of the social issues that are arising and everything, I just feel it's important to have somebody who's young. A lot of, even back then, Martin Luther King and a lot of other civil rights activists were no older than 25. So a lot of them are really young. And I feel like if you have the youth, because they're the next generation, I feel like if you have the youth wanting to do better, then it will bring a new change for just America itself. There's still going to be corrupt people in this world, and then a lot of bad things still happen. But I mean, I feel like if you can have a trend of more positivity and just equality as far as race, then I feel like we can be better in this world. And I mean, even contributing like to my quote you had quoted, since the beginning of time, I mean, I felt like there's been a Black influence on everything. I mean, if you even from the slave trade, South America has the second largest uh, African diaspora from Africa. So I feel like just
Yes.
everything from Africa has touched every part of this continent and all the continents and this country itself. And just with that, I feel like um, African Americans, Black people don't really get the credit that they deserve.
Absolutely.
And I feel like everybody who isn't that, they feel that, oh, oh, you're supposed to do that. Even like just it's in history. All the Europeans, they just come over here, go there. They take this, take that. Oh, I claim this, I claim that. And it's like, I mean, it happened, and what I'm saying, it's the past is the history, but I mean, I don't really feel like just as a race that we get the credit that we deserve. So that's why I just want to continue to bring light to that, kind of just let people know that it's not just about, white is right or this or that. It's just be positive to everybody and do is that. So that's just how I look at it.
Yeah, man. And I couldn't agree with you more in terms of it is on the youth right now to keep pushing for this equality across the board, right? It is a fact. It's not really disputed. Everything you just said right there is our history, right? As a human race. That doesn't mean that's how it always has to be. And when we have, a groundswell of uprisings, right, of our youth that are saying, hey, look, this is not right in how we treat each other. That's where we, are able to, change the swing, change that momentum and get us in a more positive light, a more, just more equitable world. And so kind of going big picture, right? Like, kind of just going back to other quotes that I'm just pulling from other things that you've said, but you've spoken about always having to do a little extra, right? Always having to, whether it's at school and your home life, on the field, in the gym, just life in general, to get to where you're at right now, you've always had to kind of go above and beyond, what's expected of you. And so maybe I would ask, what was your individual, kind of turning point, right? That you said, people are kind of watching me. My perspective on some of these bigger issues, or how I'm a member of our community. People kind of look at on my stances on certain things. When was that kind of for you that you realized, this is kind of bigger than me? I'm kind of somebody, my friends, my family, whoever, look up
to. I would say it started since I was younger, elementary. I knew that, because it's a story I've told certain people, where I was playing a youth Pop Warner game, and it was after the game, and I went up to the snack bar. They were giving out hot dogs and whatnot, so I went and got a hot dog, and my other teammate, he went up too, and he was white. He went up and got one, and then I went back and asked for another one, and she said, "No, you already got one." I went back and I told my dad, and the kid, his dad was right there. Like, me and him, we were best friends all the way up, and so he said he was like, y'all two go again. So he went back up. He asked lady, "Oh, can I get a hot dog for my friend?" So she was like, "Yeah." So she gave him a hot dog. So right then I knew what race was. I knew that being Black is, that's already a knock on you. It shouldn't be, but it already is. So as I grew older and older, just knowing that it's never going to be easy for a minority in general to get where they want to be, you always have to do a little extra. You always have to become extra prepared, make sure that everything you have is clean, because and I call it white America is always going to find a way to keep you locked up or suppressed. And I mean, that's why I feel like that's why a lot of the prisons are and jails are filled with, you know what I'm saying, mostly Black males,
Yep.
a lot of Black males and just minorities in general. So I feel like that's the biggest thing. And then with being a Christian, you know, and walking that walk, that's not easy also. I mean, you can read in the Bible, Jesus himself, the walk wasn't easy. And his 12 disciples, they went through long walks of their life and it wasn't easy for them. So I just feel like being a Christian also in this world that is very corrupt, and now in a day where right is wrong and wrong is right, you know, that's why I always every day just wake up and I know that everything I do, everything that happens in my life is because it's the way God wants it, and it's his plan. And that's something that I kind of live by is we're here for a split second, you know, and God, he maps out everybody's life the way it is, and everything that happens, he maps it out that way. And our thing is just to play by his rules and do what he says and be obedient. So that's just kind of how I look at that. Even in coming to this point now, being having a voice for myself, being able to speak on this interview right here with you, and then just having other interviews with other people, and being an athlete who isn't just an athlete and you're just good at football. I have my schoolwork. I have off the field. I'm Byron Cardwell. People know me off the field. I never boast about me going to Oregon or none of that. I let people find out and let them come to me and talk about it, because that doesn't, going to Oregon University, that doesn't define me.
Right.
You know,
it's what you do. It's not who you are.
Exactly. And so just being able to have an influence on the youth and my peers, and even some adults like my parents and some of their friends, and whoever else sees myself on social media or the internet, just having an influence on those people. You know, I always want to push God, because that's just how I feel about it. And I feel that his way is the only way. Everybody is entitled to feel what they feel, but that's just how I look at it.
Sure.
And that's just kind of how I've dealt with the from a kid to this point with my impact on whoever is around me.
Sure. I mean, everyone's got a separate walk, right? Everyone is the hero of their own movie, and everyone's trying to get through this, you know, life. Whether it's like you said, just a blip and it's over, right? You're trying to get through it as best you know how. And I guess, you know, I'm being mindful of time because we're wrapping up here, but I did want to get your take on that last point, right? In terms of your position in this world that we're living in, because whether you like it or not, bro, like athletes, there's something that draws Americans and the global society really towards athletes. And so you have become, you are now in this you know, kind of this status, right? Even though it's not who you are, it is what you do. You got a lot more eyeballs on you. So, you know, one of my last kind of follow-ups would be, you know, if you could right now just tell, you know, a kid in San Diego or wherever, you know, listening to this, maybe they're in middle school, maybe they're in high school as well, or even in college already. One thing, you know, regarding using your platform and using your voice for positive change in your community, you know, what would you tell them that's, you know, listening right now?
The biggest thing I would say is keep God first. Love yourself, respect yourself. Don't ever be able to take positive, constructive criticism, and that not everything you hear is always downing you, but be able to take some of it. But always know that you're important, and don't let nobody devalue who you are or belittle who you are. And know that wherever you are in life, that it's gonna get better. And if you just continue to work and do what's right, then things are gonna come and fall in place. and that's just kind of something that I've done with myself. I've, like you said, being an athlete, you have extra eyeballs on you. A lot of people want to see you fail, and a lot of people want to see you succeed.
Sure.
And it's only a little bit of people that are gonna be there throughout all of it.
Riding for you, day one.
Yes. And so I feel like if you stay true to your people, your family, and keep your circle tight, then you'll be able to get through this whole thing.
A lot of wisdom right there. A lot of gems for anybody listening. All of that. The self-esteem and the self-respect and really, in this day and age, keeping that circle tight is super important, because again, with this lifestyle, the higher you go up, the more distractions and the more areas for more room for error, right? We'll just leave it at that. But yeah, man, I thank you so much for your perspective and coming on. I know we got a couple minutes left, so I want to just hit some some pro sports stuff with you, before we let you go, because I know you got to hit the weights, or you got another. Your schedule, your day's not over.
Not yet.
So let's talk. I know you did have a point in time where you did hoop, and this week, NBA playoffs are starting. I think tomorrow actually is one of the play-in games, something like that. But Wednesday night, Steph versus LeBron. Who you got in that game?
I'm biased towards LeBron. He's always been my favorite player ever since I could remember basketball.
Okay.
So I mean, I've liked him when he got drafted, Cleveland, and went to Miami, and then went back, and then went to the Lakers. So I've always liked LeBron, whatever team he was, and I've always liked that team. Stephen Curry himself is very, very talented and very hard to stop. It's just his ability to shoot the ball from wherever and make it consistently, just kind of that driving force for their team. But I have LeBron as long as he's playing. So even if he's not playing, what I'm saying, I still like them because I like LeBron as he's my favorite NBA player. So I take the Lakers over the Golden State Warriors.
Okay, not a bad pick. I mean, you're right. They're both transcending talents, not just what they've done for basketball, but what they do off the court, right? So it's not a bad choice either way. Do you have a finals projection? You think the Lakers are just going to run the table and get there, or who do you think NBA finals this year? Who do you like?
I'm taking the Lakers in the West. I feel like once LeBron gets healthy and everybody else gets healthy, that they can run the table. It's going to be challenging this year though, because a lot the NBA talent has picked up, with
that West is deep. That West is deep.
Yeah, the Jazz are real nice this year. And then now, like a lot of teams. So I would say in the West, it'd be the Lakers, and in the East, I would either say it'd be either Milwaukee or the Nets.
I think you're right. I like Brooklyn. I know it's the first season, but look, that's a scary team if all three of those guys are playing. But okay, so kind of switching over to NFL, right? Like the draft was just, I think, this last week or a couple weeks ago. If you caught that, do you think out of this latest draft class, if there's anybody you can see having kind of a breakout rookie year, like the former Oregon quarterback Justin Herbert? I mean, it doesn't have to be a quarterback, but anybody you thought this last draft, like, oh, he's going to put up numbers year one?
I mean, I like both sides of the ball, but me personally, I'm biased towards running backs. So I feel like Najee Harris will have a breakout year.
Steelers.
The Steelers have always been a franchise who's always had a nice running back and just had a good line, because you have to have Big Ben for all those years. You got to have a good line. So I feel like Najee Harris probably have a breakout year. For sure.
And kind of a follow up to that, outside of Najee Harris or any other running back, is there any back that you kind of, I don't know, aspire to, or, envision or idolize, your game around, that you say, oh, you know what, I'm gonna play like him. That's who I'm, not trying to be, but I like aspects of his game.
Mm-hmm. Well, first off, I don't idolize anybody, so I'll say that. But somebody who I do look up to, and as a person that inspires me in a way when it comes to the field and this work ethic, for football would be Julio Jones. He just him and Alvin Kamara, both of them, just they're on the field, they're dogs, they make something out of nothing. And when you play against them, you better come prepared because they're gonna make you pay. And it's off the field, just their preparation. Julio, just his diet, both of their diets, they're very strict on what they eat, but they still enjoy it. And then also with Alvin Kamara, just being a running back, he can catch the ball like a receiver, and he can also run the ball like a regular power back, and just his workout videos have gone viral. His doing his balance with Dr. Reef on Instagram.
Yes.
And so just watching him do that, and then also I watched some of Julio's workouts on YouTube. So just kind of picking stuff from both of those guys, and kind of just using those in my game and on and off the field.
Those are two pros. If you can model the game after Julio's just beast mentality, preparation, and then again Kamara, I got destroyed going up against that guy in fantasy. This last year. Yeah, he's everywhere. You can't stop him, and he's so fun to watch, dynamic. So those are two great picks, man.
Yes.
Before I let you go, I have to go. A little baseball esque. Kind of our hometown team. Not sure if you're kind of following this kind of season that the Padres are having right now. If you are, what are your thoughts on the hometown team?
I would say, as far as I can remember, San Diego Padres has probably been good. I haven't really followed them like that consistently, but I would say it's probably been a really good start for them. I feel like they have what they've been needing is pitching. So I feel like if they can play how they're playing, everybody stays healthy, COVID free, and their pitchers, and they play strong like this in the first and also in the second and also postseason, and their pitchers stay healthy, I feel like they can make a run for the World Series.
I like what you're talking about. I like your thinking. We're pulling for them, and like you said, pitching is the name of the game in baseball. That's what's going to get you into October. So we'll be keeping tabs on them, man. Well, this was an hour that flew by, and I can't thank you enough, man, for coming on our platform to speak. So many things you spoke about today, who you are, and just your character and what's keeping you going. So obviously, if we can, before they ship you off to Eugene, and we got some time, definitely we have to, link up for some events that we got going on in the summertime. I have a feeling this is just the beginning of you're taking off, but you're also, the athlete advocate that we all need, here in this community, and going forward. So thank you again for your time, bro. And if you want to, let the folks know where we can find you. Keep up to date with what you're doing. If you got your socials, feel free to let everybody know where you're at.
Okay. My Instagram is Byron.Cardwell _1K, and my Twitter, I don't really post a lot on there. It's more so just kind of like my business football stuff, but that's Byron Cardwell too.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, you heard it here, folks. Byron Cardwell, Oregon Duck, soon to be. And again, bro, thank you so much for taking the time, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you for having me.
All right, bro. Take care.
You too.